A hearty welcome to this weekly Thursday talk hosted by the Brahma Kumaris World Spiritual University of South Africa. Tonight's guest speaker is Marcelo Gimenez, the National Voluntary Coordinator of Colombia's Brahma Kumaris. Welcome, Brother Marcelo, to the tip of Africa. I believe it's the first time. So a hearty welcome to you. Marcelo has been a member of the Brahma Kumaris for 37 years. He's been giving talks on almost all 5 continents on the topics of spiritual endeavors. So he's a coach, he's a corporate consultant, as well as being an author of 3 books, or books in 3 languages, shall I say. He also has a blog, and maybe if we have some time tonight, we can venture into what is written. But for now, the topic for this evening is tolerance, the expression of resilience. So how well are we doing in this matter if we ask ourselves? If we think about a rose, it can live amongst the thorns and yet never be touched or injured by them. So please keep pen and paper ready, and you can leave a question in the chat if you wish. And so it is over to our guest speaker, Brother Marcelo. I hope you've been able to hear all of that, brother. Welcome to the tip of Africa.
Thank you, and good evening for you. Today, as you see, it's still afternoon for me. It's still sunny outside. First of all, can you hear me okay? Just 1 or 2 people who can tell me if it's great. Okay, thanks, Colin. Thanks for your presentation. And thank you all for coming to this lecture, and thanks for the invitation. I mean, I feel honored to be in South Africa. I was never there presentially. So now with a free ticket by Zoom Airways, I can go there. So it's great. It's nice. I have been to Africa just once, to Mauritius. So some people, they say it's not really Africa, but I felt like I was there. Today we're going to talk about 2 different things, and both of them, they are so important that I would like to go deep into both of them. Which tolerance, and South Africa is internationally recognized as a very tolerant place, or at least a model for everyone in the world in relation to everything that has happened there and is still happening. But also resilience. And I have a very short story about resilience. When the beginning of the 90s, I was in India for a course there. And during this course, the facilitator, a very good friend, he talked about resilience. That was in the 90s. And 2 people, they were against the word. They didn't like the word. They said, why don't you use resistance instead of resilience? It's much easier. One of them was from South Africa, so I just remember that. So it's interesting now that you are accepting the word, finally. And yeah, it's a word that I think it should be used much more, because it expresses something so powerful, so great. So I would like to work on the lecture today in relation to an image that has both components, tolerance and resilience. And the image is a candle, a flame in the wind, in a storm. So the wind is trying to extinguish the fire. And it's kind of the flame is trying to have the fire no matter what happens. So we are going to work on that image during the lecture. because for me at least is a very powerful one. And I would like to start the lecture clarifying what is resilience. What's it? Why is it different from resistance? There are three evil sisters. You know, resilience has three evil sisters. One of them is resistance. Because when you resist to something, it's kind of you are fighting, okay? You are struggling. And resistance is not that good. Resilience comes from a total different way. It's a different way of dealing with situations. It's a different way of thinking of yourself. So when you think about resistance, you see people are like this. I think in South Africa also you have to use this type of things. They are not so natural. In fact, it's very easy to use in Zoom. You see, it's natural. It's there, and it doesn't prevent my breathing. So many people decide to go for resistance against this. I know so many people. Even so, I'm in a city where people in general are obeying the rules and regulations, but still it caused lots of problem for so many situations. People, you see videos on that, and people fighting and yelling at each other because they are resistant. Resistance comes from the fact that I don't accept what's going on. I fight against it. And this is a very powerful enemy of resilience, because if you're fighting against something, you're not using your inner strength. And that's basically what resilience is. It is it's your inner capacity. And you can manage, you can cope emotionally, mentally with the crisis. And also another aspect important is that resilience means that you go back to whatever you were before. So for instance, this pen, very simple one, okay? So if I bend it a little bit, I can see it bent, maybe, yeah. It's bent a little bit. You can bend a little bit, but it goes back. You bend and it goes back. You bend, it goes back. That's the resilience. It's the capacity that you go back to whatever you were before the problem, the situation, the crisis. Especially during the crisis, resilience is important, because crisis is crazy. It makes too many things, too many changes, and you have to go back to that situation before the crisis. As much as you go back as you were before, the best is your resilience. So when you resist with things, if my pen resists against me, I can break it. So resilience, it's a very important factor. All of us, all of humans, we have. It's natural there. Anything, in fact, has resilience. This pen, this mobile phone, of course, your mobile phone is switched off, okay, or you are using to watch this lecture. You are not typing WhatsApp, right? Yeah, you're not, okay. So everything has a type of resilience. The thing, and that's why I talked about resilience so many times last year, is that when there is a crisis, it seems that you cannot wait until the crisis is over. In many places in the world, things are going back or trying to go back to normal. Here in Colombia, that's what's happening, what's going on here. So now the people here, they are very happy because they have their traffic jam back again, because they didn't have traffic jam. I remember the first months of quarantine, I walked, it was like another city, another town. no traffic, just one, two, three cars, very few. But now they are happy, they have traffic jam back. That's great. Modernization, urban city. So, so as we go back, resilience makes us reflect what what happened to me. How much was I able to go through the situations? Because that is why you have your resilience, or the expression today, that's how you express your resilience. It's present in every act, word, or thought. So, for instance, you are having a problem getting job, employment. It's kind of difficult nowadays. So, your resilience we can measure by the quantity of negative thoughts that emerge in relation to that unemployment. And I tell you one thing: I work as a business consultant, as a coach. I'm independent. That means eternally unemployed. I never have a job really. Okay, for the past so many years. So so the quantity of thoughts of, oh, I cannot get a job, or I cannot get work, what to do about this, what to do about that, how can I get the money? This quantity shows you don't have much resilience. Because if you have resilience, the thoughts are different. Okay, let me try this, let me call that person, let's see another possibility, let me learn something, let me go to this person. So resilience will make you, before the crisis ends, to move, to do things. And that will show in your thoughts, in your words, in your actions, in your relationship with each other. In Colombia, for instance, the violence, inside the families increased so much, particularly against women. So people get very concerned about that. And one of the reasons that people they were too close together, so they have to bear with each other. Now they have to see everything the others do wrong. And so that challenged their resilience, challenged their capacity of being strong, no matter what's going on, no matter what's happening around me. So check your thoughts, check your words, check your actions, and you see how resilient you are. Using the metaphor of a storm and candle, particularly during crisis, you can see your resilience much clearer, because that will enable the person to go through the storm without changing negatively. And that's extremely important, that you are not affected in a negative way by whatever is happening. It's not perfect. We are all learning. And this pandemic came without invitation. He didn't send a WhatsApp to us in advance saying, hey guys, I'm coming, so prepare yourselves. It just dropped. I was in India there, in fact, when pandemic came. I don't know if Pratibha was there too. So I remember it was like the doors were getting closed behind my back, leaving India, because here is very far. So I had to go to, first of all, I have to leave the place I was in the mountain. So I have to go to a small city called Ahmedabad. From Ahmedabad, I had to go, I think, to Bombay. Bombay had to go to somewhere else, and then to another place. Oh, it was so many flights, and and it was every country was closing their doors, their borders against others. In fact, I arrived in Colombia, and after 3 or 4 days, they didn't allow anybody to enter the country anymore. I had to stay for 2 weeks inside my place, which is quite small. And that was a test for my resilience. How much I don't think negatively, even though the situations are negative. And you probably say, that's impossible, but think about yourself. Have you been operated sometime by a surgeon? So imagine you are going to be operated by a surgeon, and the surgeon look at you like this. Nah, it won't work. And he tells you, the chances for recovery is less than 20%. You're probably going to die there. So how are you going to feel? And maybe what he says is true, but his role is different. Is to say, I'm going to fight until the end. I'm going to help you as much as possible. I'm not asking the doctor to tell lies, but I'm asking the doctor to show the positive side. And that comes with resilience. And I have seen so many examples of resilient people during this time. It's been incredible, really incredible to see people. There is a guy, he works in a hospital nearby. He used to arrive every single day, 5 a.m. He used to park in front of the house and just go for work every single day. I think only once a day in a week he didn't come. Now that things are normal, he comes like 8 a.m., but I mean, he's still coming. And it's great. It's great how much resilience we had. This pandemic, we should be grateful because it has helped us to learn how much resilience we had. And these are the two questions I want to share with you. And I would like you to just stop doing whatever you are doing. And of course, I know you're not sending WhatsApp to anybody, you are not reading anybody's WhatsApp. I know that. But just stop, just relax, and just think about this. How strong is this storm for you? And how strong are you? How strong is the crisis you are facing, the problem, the obstacle? But how strong are you? Just think, just feel in yourself, inside, your strength. Just a few seconds of silence. Okay, so why is this reflection so important? Because the situations, you really cannot control them, but you can control yourself. And you have seen heroes. I mean, it's been amazing 2 years because I've seen so many heroes. I have known a few of them. Past year, one of my last works was to give a course on resilience to a group of healthcare people, doctors, even people from administration of hospitals, and they were sharing me their stories. I mean, it was amazing to hear what was going on. Colombia was one of the 10 countries with more cases in the world. So the situation here was quite bad, quite bad. And still people, they were going to work. They were trying and trying. They were trying this and trying that. They were trying to change reality. They were doing things, because their resilience was motivating them, was making things happening, not resistance. Resistance normally doesn't make things happen. Resistance normally what does is prevent things to happen. But resilience works, accepts whatever is going on and tries to change, tries to see a better way. So, how resilient you are, that's a good thought. Just think about that. Just feel the resilience, feel that inner strength. And one of the things that resilience fits, or it's like a component, is tolerance. And tolerance is another thing that you have to understand very clearly. Because many people they think of tolerance in well, not in a right way. You can hear many people saying, "Oh, I'm tolerating this person so much." Hmm, it's not like that. You know, when you really meet someone who is tolerant, the first thing you see is a beautiful smile, a kind way. One of the people I met in Colombia, he took me to a state in Colombia. The state is mostly black people, and it's quite poor. It's the poorest place there. And during the Civil War, that state was affected by both rebels. We had rebels from the right and rebels from the left. Both things were there. So I went to that town, a very small town. And this person who invited me there, he he was a volunteer. In fact, he was kind of a professional volunteer. So he used to see one place, okay, I want to go there. So he used to get a job just to pay the things, and then he used to do his job, which was helping people to improve whatever way, you know. It was amazing stay. It was like 5 days. I never felt so much cold because everybody here in the city said it was hot there, and when I arrived there, it was so cold, extremely cold. And but I saw beautiful places, and the people there they were amazing. But this guy, he he drew my attention because of his tolerance. It was amazing. I mean, he was in the crossfire, literally. Uh, and I saw one of the people of one of the rebels. I saw him. He came out one day. I was in a river swimming, and he came out. He was shirtless, but his eyes. I hope I will never see someone with so much hate in my life. Really, it was a hate, not against me. I knew against the world, probably. So I asked my friend who invited me there. He said, "Oh yeah, he's one of the guys there from the rebels, from the right wing." And it was, but he said in such a way that it was clear he knew the danger, but it was clear that his heart was so big. He was tolerating. He was doing things there that really still amaze me after so many years. And that's the power of tolerance. When you meet someone who is tolerant, they are so resilient, they won't tell you, "Oh, you don't know how much I had to tolerate that thing." They will tell you the wonders, the beauties, the greatness. And maybe they will tell you the bad things, of course, but they will say, "Oh, yeah, yeah, that happened. It's not that good." I follow one influencer from South Africa in Twitter. He's such a nice guy. Every day he has a special message, a good morning message, or start the week in a good mood, or something so great. And he shows many parts of South Africa. You can see through his posts that he knows the bad stuff that's happening. Everywhere is happening something very bad. But his focus is always good. It's always beautiful. He travels a lot in Africa. I don't know what's his job. And wherever he goes, he says, "This is my favorite place." But he's kind of have 10 favorite place or 20 because everywhere is his favorite place. And that energy is not, it's not a hollow optimism, but it's tolerance. I was born in Sao Paulo, Brazil. I am Capricornian. I cannot bear hollow optimism. I cannot. Like I'm in Bogota. If someone tells me, "Oh, Marcelo, it's not going to rain today, the day will be wonderful," I know it's lie. It's a lie. Bogota rains every single day of the year. It's cold every day. Every day. It rains every day. So it's a whole hollow. It's not a relevant optimism. Tolerance is not about being optimistic. Tolerance means you're so strong, so strong. You are like a huge tree and someone is throwing stones at you. Or you are like a flame and the wind is blowing, but your power comes not from the wind, it comes from inside. And that's the important thing. That's tolerance. Something we all need, and you know what? We all have. Tolerance, it is an attitude, it's a virtue, it's an inner power. And there are three things in relation to tolerance. When you tolerate something, that means you are understanding whatever is taking place. Second thing, we can stand before the situations without suffering. You cannot prevent the pain, but you can prevent the suffering. And the third, and maybe the most important, we learn. We learn from situations. We learn from whatever happened. I am from a background of especially German. That's the surname I use everywhere, bulk. I have also Spanish. And I have Portuguese. I hope it's just a little bit. But so my grandmother was Spanish, and she probably lived the influenza, no, the big flu that was the last pandemic the world lived before this one. But she never shared with me whatever she learned there. I never imagined someone wearing these masks except in hospitals and in very weird labs, I never imagined that was something to be useful. When I was there in India in March and I learned that I had to use these, I got concerned. I have some lung problems from childhood, so I can't breathe properly. So I had to train my breathing, because I had to stay with these masks like 20 hours straight. So I had to train my breathing. So instead of resist, I work around it. I have to use. That's acceptance. So let me learn how to use better. And that's amazing because I can use this for so long. I feel I have a better capacity of breathing. So I learned so much of that. But my grandmother, she never shared anything with me, neither her sister, who was also during that period. Why? What's going on? Because the reality is, many people, they are not going to learn. They are going to learn just a little bit. Most people, they want to forget the crisis and the pandemic. They're going to cinema, they're going to fly, they're going to India, they are already trying there and checking the tickets, etc., because they want to leave. It's been called revenge tourism, and it's so strong everywhere. Everybody know they are traveling. What's going on? Because we didn't learn. Because yes, the pandemic is getting over, but there are lots of little things there to create problem. And what about nature? Nature felt so benefited by the fact we are not using too much cars and all of the problems. So aren't we going to learn a little bit at least? And the reason is we didn't tolerate the pandemic. We bared. We just okay, I cannot go out. There are people getting crazy because they couldn't go out. And Netflix, they got millionaire. I don't know if South Africa you have Netflix, but here at least everybody, before the pandemic, few people knew about Netflix. Few people. One, two. Nowadays, it's a verb, it's a substantive, it's everything. Everything is using here. So tolerance means that. So I'm going to associate now resilience with tolerance, but I think you have understood already the message in relation to that. Resilience works as an inner strength that helps tolerance to emerge. So if I can't tolerate something, there is a problem in my resilience. That means you need to empower yourself much more. It's easier if you understand, if you stand, if you learn. So, what's going on? What's happening? To understand means that logic does not explain everything, and intuition is not available all the times. So you have to trust on wisdom from spiritual knowledge, tradition, or people. And there is a phrase that can help you to understand understanding. When you understand, you can accept, and then you can change. And that's extremely important point in relation to tolerance. You have to understand what's going on. You have to accept it, because if you don't accept the situation, if you are refusing, if you are resistant, you cannot really tolerate. So you have to accept that reality. You have to embrace it and just enjoy it a little bit, even though it's bitter like broccoli, which is the horrible thing there. So, but still you have to accept, you have to embrace it. Then, only then, you can change. And that's why people, they have so much difficulty to change, because they try to change from a negative point of view. I have lived in two different countries. And the first country I went to live, I really went there in a good mood. I really want to do something as a volunteer. I want to do meditation. I want to help people to understand meditation. It was great. It was really great. But I had some trouble with my country, with my nationality, Brazil. Yeah, I didn't like the language. I didn't like the music. I didn't like lots of things. So when I went to Chile, that's the country I lived the first time, I had a tough time there. It was very bad, very bad. And one day I realized the reason, one of the reasons at least, was that I was coming from a negative point of view. So the next time I had to move to another place, which is Colombia. When I moved here, the guerrilla was very strong. People, they were being kidnapped everywhere. One of the people I met, one of the first Colombians I met, he was kidnapped a few years later. He died as a hostage. The drug problem here, oh, was so horrible. In fact, the first year I was here, someone came and he was a mule. Someone was carrying drugs. I didn't even know. I was so innocent. I didn't know this reality. I helped the guy with something. I didn't know. You don't tell the police, right? Yeah, okay. But it was something out of my reality. But I came with such a positive energy. In fact, I love Brazil now. I loved Brazil at that time. I love Brazilian music. Come on, it's so beautiful. Portuguese language is much more beautiful than French. Come on, French is, It's much more beautiful. Portuguese from Brazil, okay, not from the other country. And it's amazing. It's amazing how, because I accept their reality, I was able to change it. It was great. And that's basically the first step of tolerance. And without resilience, you can't you can't accept whatever is going on. The world is full of mistakes. There are lots of errors. So I tell you a very old story from Brazil. In Brazil, we have a little fruit. It's just like this. It's like a grape, I think. We call it jabuticaba, and everybody loves it. And it grows in it grows very low, so you can eat. There is a video of a dog eating there, and the dog is happy. It's a very nice, tasty fruit, and especially children, we love it. Then there is another one, which is jackfruit. You probably know it. I think in Africa you have lots of that. And jackfruit grows in big trees. So it's big, huge, 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 huge. And one day, one guy was complaining about everything that was in nature. He was finding errors, mistakes, and he took the jabuticaba and jackfruit as an example. He said, these fruits, they are so small, so they should be grown in tall trees. So the trees, they don't bear the weight of the jackfruit. And the jackfruit, which is so big, should grow at the level of the floor. That's the logic, at least his logic. After thinking so much, he decided to rest, and he had rest under a jackfruit tree, and then a jackfruit just crushed his head. Then he realized the wisdom behind it. There is always some wisdom, even in bad things, terrible situations. There is always something there to learn. There is always a chance to be better and to help others to be better. You don't need to love it. You don't need to kiss it. You just need to embrace it because it is your reality. It is what you are, what you are going through. It is whatever is happening there. The second thing about tolerance is that tolerance is, anyway, the art of managing situations. So it came this idea for me that you can stand. You don't need to bear the situations because you are strong, you are powerful. That's so important because when you fight against a problem, that problem will fight you back. When you stand on your own self confidence, the problem will be defeated eventually. That's the basic principle behind nonviolence, one of the gifts South Africa gave to the world. Because you don't go against, you don't fight, you get stronger and stronger and stronger. I remember a cartoon that was shown in Brazil many years ago when Nelson Mandela was released from prison. And the cartoon shows Nelson Mandela coming into the prison with these big guards, very tall and bulky. And Nelson Mandela, just a slim guy there, and he entered in the jail. And many years later, I think 20 years or something like that, he came out. And now he was a giant. And that's what tolerance makes for us all. We become like giants. We become something that's great, is amazing. Especially nowadays, it's so difficult to tolerate things because probably there is always an alternative. I mean, I remember a fight, a friend of mine, she was crying. because her children were fighting to watch a TV show. Yeah, that's past, yeah. But they were fighting because of that. Because the guy, the young son, he wants to watch something and the girl wants to watch another thing. Nowadays, no problem. I have my own cell phone, mobile phone. I just go to my room and I watch whatever I want. No problem, no deal. So nowadays, nobody tolerates anymore because it's not needed. You don't like that person, you don't talk to them. You don't like this, you just throw away, you just recycle, you do other things. However, it's so beautiful when you tolerate, when you are there and you feel your strength. You know the thing is bad. You know you are going through a very awful situation, but you don't bend, you don't give up, you are there. You don't fight, you just let your flame burn all that reality. You just let your energy to change whatever is going on. And you see slowly, gradually, the change will happen. Because history has taught us many things. And one of the things is every time there was too much fight, then there was too much fight back. It's a very simple lesson. But every time someone didn't fight, and instead they were the embodiment of whatever they were defending. They were the principle, they were that value. Slowly and naturally, people accept it. It will take time, but they will accept it. And I do believe in that. I do believe in tolerance. I have gone through very bad things. I'm in a country in war. Still, there are many groups in war outside there. I have seen many horrible things, and I have been through that. And I realized that violence cannot work. Resisting doesn't work much. But when you work in a different way, things change. This city I am was a mess, was ugly and not nice, really not nice. Then we had one mayor, just one mayor. And that guy is still amazing, amazing. He has some sickness which prevents him to act well, to still perform as a politician. But he was amazing. He didn't do anything really. When I look at his 4 years, he didn't do a bridge. He didn't build things. He just talked to people, and he just gave other ideas, and he empowered his group, the secretaries, so that then they could act and they could solve the problems. And after he left, another mayor came, and that mayor, he was very moving and he did wonderful things. After 8 years, the city was completely changed. Things were beautiful because they didn't fight. And the third thing is that to learn. Because it's more than learning. In fact, you feel rich. You feel you're a rich person. When you learn, it means you have changed. You turn into a light for the whole world, really. I don't know in South Africa, but I hear so many people saying, "Oh, I learned. I'm not going to talk to that person again anymore. Oh yes, I learned the lesson. I'm not going out in the evenings anymore, the nights." That's not learning, that's trauma. That's for a psychologist. When you learn something like I had to learn, in fact, I had to learn Portuguese because my grandmother was Spanish. She brought me up. So of course my Portuguese was very bad. You know, Spanish and Portuguese, they are very similar, but for a Brazilian, when you speak some words in Spanish, it sounds bad. So I had to learn Portuguese, good Portuguese. I became an expert. I had to learn English because I like this language. And I had to learn Spanish because I live in Spanish speaking countries. And also, I speak the three languages badly, but I speak them. You know, I learned. I can think in that language. I can recognize things. Sometimes I can't translate because I know the idea, but I can't say in the other language what's that idea. That's learning. You learn to swim, you don't forget anymore. Maybe you struggle a little bit when you try to swim after 6 years. I am so far from the beach here, like 20 hours from the beach. So if I go to swim, probably I will struggle, but I know how to do it because I learned. Tolerance, you learn. You learn. You are richer than before. You have changed. You are not the same person. Your eyes have a light, a different light that you didn't have before. You know, and you can look at the situation, you can see whatever is going on with eyes of wisdom. So tolerance, to be a learning process, you need to be resilient. Because again, resilience means you go through the crisis and you end the crisis and you are untouched as much as possible. Okay, the crisis didn't change you completely. So the same thing, you are resilient. So whatever happened in your life on your way, whether they threw stones at you or diamonds, you are able to make a house from both of them. You are able to use it and really understand the reality in such a different, varied way. And come on, how much do you learn from not having problems? I mean, I went to a city in Brazil once to give a course there. It's a special city. Brazil has the biggest iron mine in the world. I think it's still the biggest. And so the city was built for the employees. And it was an amazing city. I mean, Brazil is quite, the insecurity is very high. You cannot leave your doors open. They left their doors open. In the hotel I stayed, there was no key because no need. I said, how is it possible? And I saw the swimming pool was huge, beautiful, so clean. And I thought, wow, these guys, they are in the perfect environment to be champions, to be the best. They don't have to fight with violence. They don't have to fight with so many things. No champion came there. No, they don't emerge. We need problems. We need adversities. We need situations that are bad. The only thing we need is, along with all those bad things, is to be resilient and to tolerate. Not, but tolerance. Just feel that energy. Feel that you are going through that bad patch and you are growing. You are growing. You are growing. And things will be much better than the year before and much better than the year before. And everything is going to evolve more and more. Okay, I don't know. I see Pratiba there. I guess other people calling. I don't know if we have some time for questions or just go for meditation.
Hello, Marcelo. Thank you very much. It's getting dark here, so I've put on the lights. Not everybody in South Africa has light at the moment, so they have to tolerate sitting in the darkness sometimes. So it's also very important for us to be able to work without the energy and without Wi-Fi, sometimes without signals being strong. And it's very important to get used to that and also to tolerate that with all those original qualities that we call the qualities of the soul, the inner being. There are many people saying, thank you very much for a wonderful talk, very relevant for South Africa. And thank you very much for your inspiring talk. And you're a wonderful, wise soul. Thank you for the wonderful chat. Much appreciated. So I don't have many questions, but to ask you, we don't have too much time left, but to talk about some of those original qualities, if you would like to, if you've got the English or the French or the German or whatever language you want to use, to engage a little bit with us on some of those qualities that are fed by this resilience that we express externally. So, there are things like love and things like that, but are there any qualities there that we would call the inner qualities of the soul that you could share a little bit more on those qualities so people can work a bit more with those? Because many of the people that are watching have undergone some of these experiences. Yes.
I think resilience is basically power, and power is one of the original qualities all of us have. Power is the capacity of the soul to overcome problems and obstacles. Okay, so it is probably the quality that we should work more and more and transform it. Sometimes power is not a good word in many languages because it means I'm powerful, so I'm going to destroy you. That's not exactly power, because power means that you are powerful. So I'm going to inspire you. I'm going to help you. And because I'm powerful, I understand that you are powerful, more powerful than me in other things that I'm not good. So let's learn together. So power is an important part of the soul, particularly now. Just recently, there was a festival, Indian festival, known Navratri and Diwali, and they were celebrating the Shakti. That's the power, that's the energy. All souls, everyone has. A very beautiful example, mixing resilience, tolerance, and power, is a guy. He was a young man, he was a soldier of the police, and he was in a part of the country, and then a bomb exploded, and he got blinded. And many years later, one association, they were doing something very beautiful. They were putting on under the same roof people from different rebel groups. So he was from the police, so he was in a bedroom with a guy from the guerrilla, and they start to talk. And then the guy of the guerrilla, he realized that he was the one who put the bomb that exploded and blinded the guy. And they became friends, and they travel around talking about their friendship, the blind guy and the one who made him blind. And they talk about the self-realization. And that's the power, particularly from this blind guy. He became a lawyer. He studied. He did a very good life for himself because he didn't just get sad. In fact, he made a joke because when his roommate learned that he was the one who put the bomb, he tried to escape. He tried to run away from the room, at least. So he went after him. He asked, "Why did you leave the room, the bedroom?" So he was kind of So eventually he said the truth, and the blind guy said, "And what do you think I'm going to do with you? Do you think I'm going to? I have a stick. Do you think I'm going to stick at you, to hit you with the stick? I'm a blind guy. I cannot do much with you. So let's talk about that. Let's do something together." It was amazing, amazing story, and that comes from that power. All of us, we have power. All of us, every day we have the chance to empower ourselves and to help others also to wake that Shakti, that power.
So I was taken out by the powers that be while you were telling that story, but I've now been able to realign with the Zoom meeting. So hopefully I'll be able to watch what you had to say a little later on about the quality of power that is in fact the basis of it all, the basis of our resilience, our ability to not fight with, but to adopt and have gratitude for the situation as it comes along. Be grateful because everything is going to give us benefit. So if there's nothing else and you could have a few minutes of silence, would you be able to do us a short meditation as a closure? I don't see any more items on the chat, so yeah, thanks a million. Awesome was the last comment. Very nice.
Thank you. Thanks so much for this brief trip to South Africa. I would like to leave you with a phrase. Let's meditate with that. When you have the power to tolerate, the path of self-progress will be easy, will be clear. So let me just focus on my own light, the light that comes from within, and just feel tolerance as that light coming out, illuminate, dispersing the darkness, changing your reality. Just experience for 1 minute that power in yourself. And the tolerance that makes life much easier, much more beautiful. So
So I'd
whenever
like to
there,
thank you, brother.
yeah, thank you, thank you. Thank you very much.
Would you like to be able to give us some of the titles of your books that are available or the website that you do?
They are in Spanish and Portuguese, my books, so it's a little difficult. I have one blog in English. It's maybe if you want, you can look for that, and I can put in the chat. So those who want, you are welcome. And also, yeah, I have a video. Also, I have a channel, so you can look for my name. So you can. I have a channel YouTube, and I produce videos in English also. I talk a lot about resilience, resistance, tolerance. I couldn't talk about the three evil sisters of resilience, just one. So the other two are there also. So you can come. And if you come to Colombia anytime, just send me a note. Okay.
And then one final question. How would you say your name in Spanish or Portuguese or whichever language you were raised in?
Oh,
Is it?
it's easy. Marcelo Bulk. Bulk is in Portuguese and Marcelo Bulk is in Spanish.
Thank you. It's important to remember the name.
Okay, thank you, and Nita and Pratibas from Brahma Kumaris for the invitation. I hope next time is by flight, but now it's okay. Zoom Airways works very well.
We're warming up with Zoom Airways, and then we will get to the real thing soon, Marcelo.
That's great. That's
Thank
great.
you so much for being with us.
Thanks. Thanks a lot. And take care. I know things are not that easy, but with strength, with resilience and tolerance, everything is okay. It's great.
Okay.
Okay, take care then. I'm going for lunch. Bye bye.